second look after Liverpool have gone to Bayern Munich, 1-3-1. I'm Neil Atkinson, Jay Mckenna, Kev Walsh. Are we doing rational analysis or are we saying what about the fucking Reds?
What about the fucking Reds? I'm all about the fucking Reds, that's it. That's all I'm about. Now listen, I've got rational analysis in me, the Reds are fucking boss.
That's it.
That's a rational answer.
You've sat down, you've done the maths, you had the chalkboard up, you were rubbing things out.
Tactics boards and all that, mate.
Kev's just been spelling it out on the tactics board, but he didn't have enough players to spell out the Reds are boss.
Didn't have enough players to do all the dick and balls, which is what we're going to get to every team we play as long as we go through the competition and then win it. A little cheeky double, I'll take that.
A little cheeky double. It's a great performance, Jay. It is a great European performance. We're now in the category of the older men, whether we like it or not. All of us sat around this table and we find ourselves being able to say, yeah, that's as good as anything that you saw away from home under Benitez, as an example.
Absolutely. If that was a fit, I think almost as that bit we, almost like take it for granted. But if we'd have gone away to Bayern Munich first leg and done that, everyone would be raving about that even more. Yeah. They'd be like, you've gone there, you've let Bayern Munich, see what they're about, you've found a way to score a goal, they've got back into it, and then still you've gone up, you've chosen another gear. Then we've just sort of there's a really strange thing where it looked at times last night like we weren't even trying. And I do wonder, if Bayern Munich had come at us, what that game would have looked like, because I reckon we'd have gone and scored another 3 or 4, because if they'd have come out even more, the space we were getting second half, we were finding them spaces. The players were very clever. Wijnaldum on the right-hand side, lots of times finding himself in space where it's like, they've just attacked, and he hasn't even had to worry about tracking back, because Arnold's going to do his job. I'm going to pick the ball up, I'm going to be in this space. I'm going to jog 5 yards, and I'm going to find myself in space, and I've got loads of time, and I'm going to play it either to Salah out wide, or I'm going to look inside to someone.
There's the maturity. For me, that's we've seen this Liverpool side last season blow teams away, blow them away in patches or blow them away through games. That was just staggeringly mature. They found their way through the game first 15. Between 15 and 30, they were much the better side. There's an error, they let them in, and then they just shrug it off second half and go, no, we're going to show we're the better side again.
No, but it's total control. That's the way we played. We went there, like they done to us at Anfield, but we knew, again, at Anfield we didn't gamble because we didn't think we had to. We knew we'd go away there, we knew we had a goal in us, turns out we had 3 in us. But the performance yesterday, as you said, Jay, it looks as though we weren't trying, but I think what that was like we've been tactically drilled that perfectly. We knew what their angles were. We knew that if we let them get wide and push us down the line, then yeah, we are going to get in trouble. And a couple of times that they did look dangerous was when that happened with Gnabry on the left-hand side there, or our left there, right. On the other side, I think Ribery, he struggled against Arnold. I thought.
Well, I think they started going down the left a lot more as a consequence, because Ribery was trying, and he was trying that ball over the top. The one they tried that got behind Robertson a couple of times. They tried that to Trent, and it just wasn't happening. Yeah. And there was a moment watching it in the first half where Mckenna and the commentator, who was it? Fletch. Fletch. Seeing you tweeting all that.
Fletch.
Was just saying, just clear your lines sometimes, and that's what Arnold's done. Arnold's just like, no, I'm just going to do my job.
Backheeled it out for a throw a couple of times where it's coming over, and just said, if he does get it, it's fine. I'll stand him up and we'll be all right.
And he done that really well, and in the end, you're seeing Bayern Munich look to go down their right-hand side an awful lot more.
It was early on, just another point on it, early on in the first half, or relatively early on, there was a tussle between them, and as they were walking away, Arnold just pushed him in the back, and Ribery lost his shit and turned around and was right up in his face, and Arnold just laughed it off, and I thought, that shows you all you need to know. It's like 25 minutes into the game, and they're already losing their minds about it, and Arnold's laughing his head off.
Yeah. And that article you mentioned that you sent round to us before this show started, they talked about that, haven't they? They've said Ribery,
the Bayern Munich.
He's their legend. He's this, fantastic footballer. And, Arnold, 15 years as junior, was more than a match for him, was better than him. Couldn't get past him, didn't have any, his experience didn't help him against Arnold, let alone any pace and stuff like that. Arnold done his job really well. And it is that mature thing. It's that Liverpool just went there and said, right, well, we don't need to worry about being gung-ho to keep them back. We can just play our game whilst watching what they do. Because they done lots of, particularly in that spell in the first half, they done lots of what they done at Anfield, getting the ball to Martinez, looking for little triangles in the middle of the park, trying to find some space and see if something opens up for them, almost waiting to see if something happened for themselves. And Liverpool were just quite happy to just say, well, go on, we'll let you try that then, and then we'll be confident if you do get further forward, we'll deal with it, and by and large we did.
Talk about maturity, you talk about experience. It's worth remembering now that Trent has now played in Champions League quarter-final, Champions League semi-final, Champions League final. But he's basically, there are players who might be 30 years old who've never experienced huge occasions like that. Well, he's got 3, 4, 5 of them in his back pocket, and that's just talking about European experience. There's a point where experience is just experience. You can simultaneously be 20 years old and experienced.
Yeah, but he certainly is, isn't he? And he showed, I think his experience is showing every single game he plays now, because 12 months ago when we played United and Rashford he turned them inside out a little bit and he scored that goal. And Trent himself said afterwards, he said, that's the game I've learned the most from throughout my whole career, which I think says a lot because, as you say, he's played in Champions League semi-finals and finals, and he's played against big players. He's played against Ronaldo, do you know what I mean? He's had them all up against them, and he's learned the most. That's probably a lad he's played with coming up through the youth team in England, because he's realised, well, this is the mistake I've made there, and he hasn't made that mistake again. And you've had Will Zaha, who has had a go at him, but hasn't got much out of him. Ribery, who's been one of the best wingers in the world for the last 15 years. Sané at Man City. At Man City, the amount of pressure he was under last year in that European Cup game away was unbelievable, and the way he stood up to every single part of the challenge was fantastic. And as you say, that experience, he's a 20-year-old experienced fullback now, and soon enough I think he's going to be a 21-year-old, 22-year-old inexperienced centre midfielder, because the passing he was doing last night, I know you say he was clearing his lines, but a lot of us clearing the lines was going directly to our...
I'm going to have this now, I've been meaning to have this for a while. Why would you move someone who could be the best in the world in his position? It would be like Madrid getting Marcelo 3 seasons ago and saying, don't play left back anymore, come on, play centre mid, where it'd be really good.
Why'd you move Philip Lahm?
And why did you move Gerrard from right back? Because I remember Tommy Schmidt making that exact point in the letters page, saying, someone said to him, Gerrard's a midfielder, and he made that exact point, replying saying, why would you move somebody who's the best right back in the league now? Because you can see he's a player, he's going to be such a footballer. He's influencing games from right back.
But it's not how we play. So you talk about our midfielders last night, which I'm going to come on to do. Milner and Wijnaldum do a great job last night. But I think you can create more in this team, in this setup at the minute, from right back at times than you can from centre mid. I'd rather have the great pass and the creativity with the extra, pushed right up. Do you want to move it sideways like Milner and Wijnaldum?
So Liverpool always going to have that 3?
Well, it's fair.
We might not have that 3 next season. Players change as we get someone else comes available. He thinks, I can change my team here. I can still get all of these lads in, but I'm going to play them in a different way now. I'm going to play someone there. I don't think he does that yet, but I think it's coming.
I think it's
but I think it's also that thing, if it gives you opportunities, doesn't it? If Liverpool can now go out and say we can go and buy a fantastic right back if we need a fantastic right back, because we can play centre midfield and still get that out of him. And I think there's a thing where you watch them last night and you just think they just looked really comfortable. And it was really mad, because again in that article, I was thinking this last night, I was thinking lots of the Bayern players have got names that you would think. Yep. And I think if you come to this blind, you'd look at the Liverpool players and look at theirs and go, well, let's have him over him. Yeah. Let's have him over him. And it just didn't look like that last night. And some of them are past it, but also what some of our players offer to our team as a collective is so much better than what they offered. They've got... Bayern Munich almost had a structure last night, but they had nothing that sort of, looked threatening. They didn't, they were trying to play it into 11's house. That wasn't working, and then that was it. Trying to go down out wide, but then that wasn't it. That wasn't working. It's like they didn't really have a way of saying, well, we're just going to keep persistent passing the ball. It was like, let's get it forward dead quick. And they didn't really have an offer, I think, which was a bit strange to see. And so you do wonder if they're on a decline. But Liverpool went to the Allianz Arena and didn't look overawed. And that's a huge thing. For lots of these players, Andy Robertson, 6 years ago, they were saying, was playing for Queen's Park. And there he is, through on goal, and you're thinking, a bit more composure, and he scores past Manuel Neuer there. It's a huge difference then for these players, and they just look so comfortable, and that gives me lots of confidence for the rest of the season, that these players are going to come up against teams and they're going to turn up there and not think, oh, well, what do we do here? They're not going to do that anymore.
Okay, going to go over to me, moving the things around. It's one of them, isn't it? I mean, it's continuity's crap, but we'll make the best of it all together. Back in a minute. Fantastic Liverpool performance against Bayern Munich. Fantastic stuff from the Reds. A few little things of interest to pick up. Early in the game, Liverpool started. Salah left, Mane right, Firmino central. First time we'd seen that full stop, really, in a game. Certainly for any length of time longer than, say, 60 seconds or so. Looked like it was a deliberate decision, and I was wondering if the Liverpool manager was going to stick with it. Then they moved, then they moved, then they moved again. It's something that a few people have been pushing for or are wondering why Klopp doesn't do this. He tends to have been quite rigid in putting them in the original positions. I think he doesn't do it more often, so that when he does do it, it really does have a strong element of surprise. If opposition managers were able to say, well, he might shake it up early in the game, that'd be a little bit different. But for instance, against Manchester United, he uses Mane wide right throughout most of the game, and United never really get to grips with it. Here, it's perpetual movement. Mane eventually gets his goal coming off the left. You see that Salah ends up over on the right. Mane was over there later on. Liverpool fell into those roles, and maybe the players themselves made those decisions, or maybe the manager was dropping some sort of invisible flag flag to say when to move around, but that was something to notice. The other thing to notice was a lot of the conversation around misplaced passes. I think that was both sides, to be honest with you, cutting off passing lanes really well. When elite footballers do that, it can make other elite footballers look not quite as good. But what it is that when you're on the ball, you haven't got a ton of options. You have to take the riskier pass. If it doesn't quite come off, you look like, well, he's giving that away a little bit sloppily. I don't think that these are bad players. They didn't all become bad players overnight. So rather than say they're passing the ball badly, full stop, say they're giving the ball away, why? And it'd be nice to see a little bit more of that, to be quite honest with you, in the discussions in games like this, because I think we're going to be involved in a few more of them. After the match, Kovac said that Liverpool were the best attacking, counter-attacking transition side in the country. That's what I mean. You don't want to give it away in certain areas against a side who will transition well against you. So you acknowledge you will give it away, but you minimise the gamble. So much of this 21st century, this decade's football is a constant conversation. Footballers are having in their own minds about risk and reward. We could see that over here. Gnabry makes the run to get the goal. At times, Serge Gnabry was cheating a little bit. He was not going with Andy Robertson when Andy Robertson went. He was presuming that the lads behind would be able to cover for him. Then that's really interesting as well. You know, I think that what that opened up was that whilst Robertson was made a show up for the goal, you could see him at times pushing, overlapping, underlapping, coming through there, not knocking people out the way. That'd be rude. But that is what Robertson was looking to do all the way through the game, and what you didn't see was Gnabry making that run back all the way with him. Risk and reward. In the end, though, Liverpool won the game because they're better football team, stronger football team, fitter football team. They saw the way through. Wijnaldum and Milner had that excellent second half. Liverpool into the last 8 of the Champions League. Expect more cagey football in patches. Expect more Liverpool brilliance. Lovely jumper, crying out for a haircut. There is, as was being discussed there, Kev, Milner and Wijnaldum, what I think Jay was getting at. Thiago is this 27-year-old lad, come from Barcelona, plays for Bayern Munich, meant to be absolute world star, you know, comes through at the age of 21, new Iniesta. Javi Martinez has had a phenomenal career, and yet, yesterday, looking at that, Milner, Wijnaldum are the ones who end up running the game. And that's what Jay was talking about just before we went over to the tactics. And that's what I was talking about on the tactics in terms of blocking passing lanes, making it so hard to play. The game ends up belonging to Milner and Wijnaldum when the bigger names is where you'd expect it to belong.
I think Wijnaldum was making himself into a bigger name now. Yeah. I think very much he was underappreciated, even among some Liverpool fans a couple of years ago. I don't think there's any Liverpool fan that will underestimate his importance to the team. And I don't think there's many who actually watch football who underestimate his importance anymore. Milner maybe a little bit less so because he's looked upon as maybe a bit part player for Liverpool now. And I wasn't overly made up when I seen him in the side yesterday. But as you said, he was brilliant because he's so tactically switched on. And he's so fit. So what you need to be in this Liverpool team is those two things. You can't be a centre midfielder in this Liverpool team and lack fitness, and you certainly can't lack you can't not be switched on, because if you are, you'll be bypassed and you'll be dragged off, because that is our whole game. Cutting the passing lanes off yesterday was absolutely fantastic, because they were going to, as you said, they're great players. Thiago's a great player, Martinez is a great player, and they're getting the ball from Süle, who I thought played really well.
He did. Yeah,
I thought you've got Hummels putting into them, and they've got options out wide, but they couldn't get the ball out there. Not because they're getting harried necessarily this close, but because the passing lane's being closed off, so the only option is to go back to where it's come from. And I think that's, yesterday I think we had a third of the possession, today 2/3, but I think that was very much a tactical plan, because we thought, well listen, if we cut the passing lanes off and wait for that one moment where we go as a pack, then that's how we get into them. And I think that our midfield allows that to happen. And if the midfielders are on like that, people are going to struggle to beat us, anybody in the world, never mind Thiago and Martinez.
Yeah, well, Bayern I thought were really good at Anfield, because they just occupied space. They almost said to Liverpool, we'll come out and do something. And in a way, we went there and done the same thing to them. Milner, there were times where you're thinking he hasn't done much on the ball. He was giving it away an awful lot. But he occupied a space. You do wonder how the midfield changes with Henderson going off, and you're able to just let Fabinho just do the defensive stuff and let them lads operate pretty much sort of left and right midfield. But one of the things that stood out for me yesterday, really noticeable for Ronaldo, I know he's been brilliant this season and he's really stepped up, but he just looked like he wasn't trying, and yet he was finding himself in space. But he was, and I'm not saying that as in, oh well, he wasn't. He was trying. He was very clever on where he needed to position himself to get the ball, to turn and give space. And you notice this with really good midfielders, even when they're running with the ball, they don't look under pressure. And when Alden plays the game like that now, he doesn't look like he's under pressure. He's got the ball now, and you're thinking, mate, someone's the tracking you, they're about to catch you, and then he's like a little drag back. And I'm in space.
He protects the ball so well. Even when he is under pressure, when someone's trying to crowd him out, Where if you used to have Didier Man and he had that famous thing where someone would come into the back of him, he'd fall over, catch the ball, it was a free kick. Wijnaldum doesn't do that because he doesn't want to break the play up.
Yeah.
So Wijnaldum will protect the ball, and he got like sort of Kenny's ugly arse on him almost, where people can't get around him, and his passing is brilliant. His passing is always to feet, and it's always into the right areas. Some players you'll see struggle to put, if they're under pressure, the pass might be a yard one side or the other. That's never the case with Wijnaldum. He protects the ball brilliantly, and his passing is out of this world.
Man of the match, Sadio Mane. Jay's, other than Messi, because it'll always be other than Messi, that's the way football works. Other than Messi, he could be the best forward in Europe right now. I think it's hard to argue with.
If Ronaldo, everyone's raving about Ronaldo's at and, you know, his age, and he's doing it for Juve when they most needed and stuff like that. If any of them two players, Ronaldo or Messi or anyone else, scores them goals last night, they're being raved about as one of the best in Europe. Salah scores them goals last night, everyone's raving about, oh, the Salah's back, and you know, the same Salah from last year, and it's like, well, Mane's done them. You know, Mane's finish was a bit like Salah's, which everyone raved about against City, where he's just got that calmness in that moment to chip it between a non-Russian defender and a fella who's trying to cover the goal line. He literally seen a gap and thought, I'm going to chip it through there. I'm not going to blast it, I'm not going to curl it, no power play. I'm just going to float it into there, and he done that. And then that header, you know, he makes that run. Ronaldo scores a header like that for Juve the other night, and everyone's raving about him. And it's like, Mane's just done that, and he's a player that you're not. Yeah, he wants to get there, and because he knows that service is going to come, and I'm going to do all I can. He's going to give me that ball. I'm going to do all I can to be there.
What I can't get over, you know, his body, the way he uses his body, brilliant. The speed of him, you say the desire, but for me, Kev, it's the cleverness. That's two keepers pretty close together. When he's had his back to them, he's made, and the good keepers, by the way, Ben Foster's a good keeper, Manuel Neuer is a goalkeeping legend, and he has made them look absolutely stupid in comparison. The cleverness, the pictures in his head, it's just unbelievable.
I think that you're exactly right, it is cleverness, but it wouldn't surprise me if you found out, you're probably not going to find out until he leaves, but if someone then says, well, what he used to do was like what Torres did, where he studies the goalkeeper, because it'd be very surprised if those two goals just happen independently, if he hasn't got any other thoughts in his head. So it wouldn't surprise me if he thought, right, Neuer, he's prone to coming out of the box, he's prone to coming out to rush it to make a decision. Sound, so I know where I'm going with this.
And if he rushes, he swings with it, because he swings with his right foot, only as if he's trying to clear it still. So he's thought, well, he's not going to swing with his left, so I'll go that way.
So I think as much of it is probably about
preparation.
As preparation as much as it is skill, and the skill he's got is unbelievable. As you said, he's up there. He's in the top 3 strikers in Europe at the moment, because just on current form, like, people might think, oh, that's ridiculous, but it isn't, because just watch him.
It goes back to the start of last year, to Burnley away at the start of last year.
Look at his goal scoring record in big Champions League games. His goal scoring record in big Champions League games is ridiculous. I think he's got 6 in his last 6 games, and it's against Bayern Munich, Roma, Real Madrid, Man City. He's not playing bums here. Like, listen, there's a lot of players score 6 and 7s against. Listen, City's only did it against Schalke, 7 goals. Schalke are no mugs necessarily, but they're not Bayern Munich. And Mane is always in the right place at the right time against big opposition.
Both footed as well, Jay. That's the other thing. You know, you talk about that finish with his left foot, theoretically his weaker foot, but he's so two-footed.
And there was a time after he scored his first where he's got a bit of confidence. Then he's jinxing, he's running around players when he shouldn't be getting around them, and he's actually just taking the piss out of them. And he's doing that, just thinking, I'll keep the ball, I'll try and see if I can get there. But his two-footedness helps him with that. So if you're the right back or the centre half, you're thinking, well, so if you're Salah, you're thinking he's going to come inside. He's not going to do it with his right foot. He's going to pull back or he's going to come inside. With Mane, you're thinking there, well, hang on. He's just scored that with his left foot. He might go down the line here and just go round me with his left foot and then clip a cross in. Or he could easily come in and just bang one in top corner. So you're thinking, well, what have I got to do here? And he's making defenders think about him now. The other thing he's doing, and note on the agenda, is his positioning. There were lots of times where he's out left, but he drifts in. Whereas Salah was sticking out wide an awful lot, he's out and he drifts in. He's almost like getting as close as he can to Bobby, which makes the centre half then think, well, I'm going to see my man or is he the right back? And then Milner and Robertson are bombing on down the thing, and they think, well, I've got to cover them. And he found himself in space lots of times, which made Bayern have to think about it an awful lot.
No one makes you think more than Sadio Mane, I suspect, in this Liverpool side. That's the way in which it goes. Listen, thank you very much to Jay. Thank you very much to Kev. Liverpool Champions League quarter-finalists, and trust me, absolutely no one will want us.